Okay, thank you very much for coming. First of all, you will notice that this is a different car from the one advertised. And the reason for that is this I've not done yet. Yes, I've had to just do a screenshot of. Okay, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for coming. Yeah, so this is the car that I'm going to be working with, and I was just trying to find out where I got this from. And then I looked down here, and it's from this guy. So let's have a little look and say thank you to this person. Thank you very much for the model. And let's go. Okay, so yeah, so as the screenshot suggests, we are going to make a fully leaded edition of an existing car. So most of the cars that I do are pre-existing models, and I just chop them up and then build the stuff in between. So this particular model is a very nice model. Let's change the coloring so you can see it clearer. So yeah, these ones are probably the easiest to work with because they're really light, and the quality of this is pretty decent too. So as I said, thank you. Right, so what we're going to start with is organizing our file. So we're going to put, what's this wheel here doing? Are these instances of that wheel? No, we've got a rogue wheel in the middle. Okay, well, let's just leave it all on. Actually, so what we are going to do is we're going to align the car. Where's this thing? There it is, right. So what we're going to do is we're going to align the front axle so it's at Y0. So first of all, we're going to make sure the car is rotated correctly. So this is our front view and the car is facing us. This is right view. So actually, I guess we're looking towards right. Well, yeah, that makes sense. And then back. And then the other thing we're going to quickly check is that it's at 0. Actually, this one's mirrored over, so that's likely to be correct. And then we're going to check the scale. So we're just going to quickly chuck in. Actually, first of all, let's make sure that we're using millimeters, which we are not. So just over here, we're going to change meters to millimeters. And then we're going to create a cube. So this is a 2 meter cube. So that looks probably about right. Because cars are generally just under 2 meters. Lamborghinis and stuff are probably, well, not probably, are closer to that. Supercars and that are wider, obviously. Right, so first of all, let's take the, what is this additional wheel? Do you know what? Let's just delete that wheel. And then we're going to delete that collection. Then what we're going to do is, so there's another empty there. There's quite a lot of, this is probably set up to be rigged up. So we can just leave it like that. So what we're going to do, we're going to find the center point of the front wheel. So let's just find, is there a middle point there? Let's find, there we go. Let's just grab that. Cursor to selected. So I was going to put the cursor in the middle of that selection. Then we're going to put origin to 3D cursor. Then we're going to select, with this still selected, select all. And then we're going to set parents to that. So, okay, we've got a loop. So what we can do instead is we quickly put an empty in there. Now select all. Parent everything to that. And now we're going to put that at 0. So now the front wheel, the axis of the front wheel is at Y0. All right, let's turn off the grid. Let's turn off the floor grid. Okay. Good. Right, okay. So now let's take everything out of that empty. actually we can just ungroup everything. So select all, and then clear and keep transformation. So we're going to clear the parenting. So everything's going to be its own own objects. Nothing's going to be linked to anything. So what we're going to do first is we're going to put the wheels on their own in their own collection. So we can get rid of this empty, get rid of this one, probably keep that one, and actually put it at 0. So that's going to be our empty that we're going to later parent everything to. So let's call this Mustang. Let's rename this empty wheels. Let's call this one original. Or no, let's call it stock. And then let's put all the wheels. Oops. All the wheel stuff. Wow, this is some really good quality modeling here. Let's chuck the wheels into our wheel collection. Move to wheels. Okay, then what we're going to do, so we know that one of the wheels, the front wheels, are going to be at that point there. So we also want a guide for the back, one of the back wheels as well. So let's select one of those loops, cursor to selected, and then put empty there, and then rename that wheel marker. And then let's move that into our wheels collection. Then let's isolate those, and what we're going to do here is make sure that those wheels are the same size, which they look like they would be. Yeah, look the same. Okay, so what we can do now is we can... Actually, we won't be able to mirror these, will we? Okay, well, let's just mirror them anyway for now, and then later on fix that. So let's select those on that side. Let's select this one, and then let's grab this one and put the origin in the middle of that one. And then actually, so we've got an origin for that wheel there. Is the origin there for all of them? No, just for that. Okay, so let's put another, let's put the cursor there, select all. Let's put the origin of everything selected at that position. Then what we're going to do is we're going to make this the parent. So let's rename that wheel. Let's have a look at that. Okay, so that's going to be our wheel. And then let's put everything into that wheel. And then let's put that at world origin. So 0, 0, 0. Okay. So make sure there's no camber on there. Line it up with the side of the monitor. Okay. Let's create a new instance, a collection rather. Put that into there. So this collection is called wheels, and then this one is going to be called wheel singular. Then what we're going to do, we're going to make sure that this doesn't render, and then in wheels, so actually we can turn this one off as well, and in wheels we can create an instance of wheel, which is going to be there. So what we need to do is we need to put this wheel outside of that collection. And now what we can do is we can turn this off and it will still show in the instance, as an instance rather. So what we need to do here, actually, we need to put a collection in a collection. So wheels contains wheel. So now we can turn this off and it will still show as a collection in here, if that makes sense. And then what we can do here is we can duplicate this and then find the X position of this one, Y position of this one. Let's round it off to 2748 and then move this to 2748. Then we can get rid of the marker. Then we can just check this one again. So the Y position, we'll probably change the Y position because it looks very, very underwheeled. So let's move these out a bit like this. And let's round it off again. Let's call that 850. This should be 0. And then the Z, where's the ground? Let's create a ground plane. Scale it up, make it not visible. So let's go to a wire, and then so the wheels are just touching the floor there, so they can definitely go down a little bit as well. So let's go down to 295, something like that. Two nine five. Okay, very good. And then, so that one's moved. I've moved this one out to 850. Let's move this one out to 850. And let's rename this one wheel front left. This one will be wheel rear left. And then let's duplicate those. And then front left will become front right. And let's rotate that by 180 and then change this to minus. And then this one will be rear right, RR. And then change this to minus. And then rotate 180. Good. Right, so what we've got here is our base model, which we can now use for reference. So just if we shade it up, have a little look, see how it looks. It looks very, very nice. Looks very nice. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's quickly lower it a touch because it looks a little bit, the stance doesn't look very nice. I mean, it looks nice obviously because it's a very nice car, but it looks like it's scared. So let's give it a little stance. Drop it. Actually, so what we're going to do with this, so we've got a whole bunch of stuff in here. Again, to simplify things, let's just quickly turn off the wheels. And actually this empty here is going to be the empty that we're going to use to parent everything to. So let's move that to the stock collection. Let's turn everything off. So let's turn the wheels off. Now if we select everything, this is the last thing that was selected. So now we can parent it to that. And now we can just move this, not this, this, and just drop it. And then we have a much nicer stance. Wow, very nice, very nice. Okay, so this version is just going to be used for reference. So first thing we're going to do is save, of course. Then let's duplicate this, duplicate collection. It's taken a little while. I suspect those wheels are probably a little bit heavy. but they are very nice though, so it's worth the wait. So, okay, let's call this collection front. And then the first thing we're going to do is select all, make sure nothing's hiding, and then we're going to just select a center section there, delete, and then we're going to select the back, isolate it. Looks like there's stuff grouped from the front to back, so we're going to, in fact we don't need that, so we can just delete that. The wheel arch wells, we do need those, so let's just cut those off. Right, and let's turn everything back on again. So what we need to do now is we need to select just one side. So often when we do this cut, there's going to be stuff that, like this for example, it looks like, yeah, this is one piece here. So first of all, actually, let's move the ground into here, ground, and let's make it non-selectable, because it's nice to have so you can see where the ground plane is, but you don't want to be able to select it. Right, so let's select the back, isolate the back. There's one last little piece here, detach that. Right, turn everything back on again, and the last time select the back. Good. Okay, so now we can move that into a new collection, call that rear. Okay, good. And actually at the moment everything is still parented to this, so we need to undo that. Let's move stock down here, move it out the way, and then let's get those wheels out of there as well. Actually, wheels out of there. Okay, so we can turn the wheels off for a sec. So these wheels, we've moved those wheels into the rear collection, which we do want, but for what I'm about to do, we want to turn them off. So select all and then unparent. There we go, good. Let's select these bits in the middle and delete those because we don't need those. So delete, 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 delete. Okay, good. Now we can turn everything back on. So the wheels, those wheels are in their own collection, whereas those ones are in that collection, which is correct. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select one of these wheels. Going to select everything else, and we're going to parent to that wheel. Now we're going to select that wheel, and everything is going to be connected to it. And now we want this axis to be in the same place as the front one. So 0 in there, and then there we have our fully leaded version of the 1969 Ford Mustang, or a very work in progress version. Anyway, right, this is taking some time to shade up. I wonder why that is. Let's change the sampling. That's why. Let's turn this down. Oh, simplifies on. Let's turn this down to 4. Okay, that should. Okay, anyway, so let's start cutting them up. So what we're going to do here, so the wheels, we no longer need these wheels. Oops. So first of all, unparent nose. Let's get rid of that wheel, that wheel. So now if we turn on the front and the back, we're only using one wheel, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to trim it at Y0, which is going to be straight down here, and see if there's anything beyond that point, like this thing, I guess we might want to keep. So let's put that into a new collection called store. Okay, let's make that red. And then put these bits in there as well. Okay, so again, select all. Let's go to edit mode. Make sure nothing is hidden. Select all, and then go to bisect. Go straight down, and then let's zero these out. Zero all of these, and then 1 here. So basically that's going to give us a perfectly straight vertical line down Y0. And now if we click on clear outer, it's going to delete everything there, and we've got just the front. While we're here, let's select all, and let's put origins to 3D cursor. So all these little origins, rather than being all over the shop, they are all in the same place, which is at the world origin. Right, let's do the same thing with the back. So perhaps we might do something with these. So let's move those to store. This little feature there, or little detail rather. These. You want to move those to the back, to the store? Yeah, why not? Okay, move those. Wow, look at the detailing there. Very nice. Okay, again, select all, edit mode, make sure nothing's hidden, select all, bisect, straight down, the same again. So we're going to zero these out, and then put a 1 in there, and then clear. This time is going to be inner. So again, it deletes anything that's outside of that. Apart from this, for some reason, what's going on here? Oh, this is a curve. So what we can do here is we can convert to mesh. Actually, that's way too heavy. Actually, we can just delete that. Can we? Shall we? Yeah, let's get rid of it. Let's just get rid of it. Okay, so so as you can see, there's a little bit of a discrepancy here with the width. So I could just pull out the wheel arch of the front, but it would actually, should I just do that? It would actually be a lot easier to just widen the front, but then the circular lights will be no longer circular. Although it might be negligible. So let's try it. Let's try it. See what happens. So scale X. So we need to go there really. How does that look? And this is the reason why we have a reference, the stock, let's call it reference. So what we can do, so that's on front layer. So if we go 4, 1, 4, 1. I mean, in isolation, you can't tell that it's different. If you do that, you can, I think we'll be forgiven. If nobody knows, then don't worry about it. Right, okay, so we're going to go with that, and what that means, obviously, is that these, well, let's go a little bit further, actually, shall we? These, yeah, it'll be a lot easier to attach. So again, let's go to front. Let's zoom right in. Let's go scale X, and then scale it out so that these two are matching. Have I gone too far that time? Okay, let's go back. Scale X, go back a little bit. Okay, good, very good. Right, okay, so at this point, make sure we save. Always remember to save. And then let's select these two, isolate them. Already grouped, already mirrored, so that's good. So both of these, I imagine, will have the same modifiers. So let's have a look. So this one has a mirror and a subdivision level 4 and renders, level 2 and renders at 4. And the back one has exactly the same thing. And then the mirror is obviously about X with clipping turned on. So that's very good. So if we were to join these, it's one object now, and the modifiers are the same, obviously. Okay, good. So let's start merging these up. So this one has an additional row of CVs, which this one doesn't. So, sorry, rather it's got an edge that this side doesn't. So if we get rid of that, you can tell that it's different. But what we can do instead is we can carry on having deleted it and then add it in afterwards to see if it improves it. So turn snapping on, snapping to vertex, and then let's turn this on, and this being merge. So now when I snap to that, it merges them. There we go. Oh. So what that's done there, so even though it snaps to that, it actually merges to the one down there. So what we need to do to fix that is reduce that one, and now it doesn't do it anymore. Okay, let's do this one. Okay, so for some reason, actually if we select tool and do merge by distance, yeah, so for some reason these were two overlaying vertices. So anyway, that's fixed. Good, okay. Let's merge these. Ricky doke. So what are we gonna do here? I hear you ask. Well, the answer is you wing it. Right, so basically we want, if we turn everything else back on, we want this line to be aligned with this one. So it's basically what looks right, and it's usually the job that's the least amount of work. So in this case, so either this comes in or this comes out. So I think if this came out, could that come out? Yeah. I think it would make more, well, yeah, or maybe somewhere in between. Let's have a look. Yeah, probably somewhere in between. So this is going to come out a little bit, and this is going to go in a little bit. That's in top view. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to get rid of these additional loops here, just to make our life a little bit easier. And let's get rid of these bottom ones. Select one extra, and then we're just left with one row there right at the end, rather than having to manipulate 1, 2, 3. So we're going to do the same thing here on this side. Slide them. Oops. Oh, what's going on here? There's one missing there, is there? Okay, let's just slide these across, and then let's delete those. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to just rotate these from this point. So rotate, and then this one we're going to rotate this. Actually, we're going to use this tool here, which is the what's this called? This thing, shear. So what this does is it just moves these. So in this situation, so if I select this one, it moves these in X, as opposed to rotating, which goes around in a circle. Or if I did scale, it does them relative to this point here. So in this case, if I did scale in X, actually this is quite good as well. So yeah, let's keep it at that. Right, so we've got a bit of a discrepancy in side view as well. So we can get rid of this as well for now. And let's get rid of this. And Let's drain the life out of this until there's nothing left. Okay, so let's go. So we need to go front to back. So actually, if we isolate these, move that down there. Actually, I'll tell you what we'll do, because it's quite a big change. What we'll do is we'll get rid of everything. Okay, so the height, okay. Because it's the back, the coupe bit. So this is the line that we kind of want, really. So we want a nice even spread. So obviously we've got more at the front than we do at the back. So what we could do, let's get rid of a couple there. So we've got, let's get rid of that one as well. So we've got the distance between this and this and this and this is getting bigger and bigger as it goes towards the back. And then if we select everything, we can flatten that line so that it's going to be planar, which is something you want. So you don't want it to be sort of going all over the place. So at the moment, so I've just used the flatten command, which means that it's found a best fit. So if you look sort of like this, you can see it. There we go. It's in a perfectly straight line, which basically is going to give you a much nicer line overall. Okay, so that's what we want it to do. And then what we'll do here is we'll add some more vertices, 2 more here, perhaps. So we've got 2 more there. We've got, let's do 2 more here. And then let's do 1 more here. Okay, so let's isolate this again. Isolate. And then we can spread these out a little bit more by using the relax command. Okay, and then do the flatten command again as well, just in case it's nudged out of place. Let's turn everything else back on. And now what we can do, we can probably, so we've got this edge, which is good. Down here, probably up to here is good. But everything from here, all this, we can probably delete and start again. Delete, 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 delete. Okay, good. All right, so let's get rid of these. This will be the, let's move these up, get rid of that. And we can clean these up a little bit as well. Clean those up. Let's delete this one. And then for now, what we're going to do is just going to chuck these in there. And then let's rotate these down so that this is going to be the corner, which is going to line up with that. But before we do that, let's get rid of these and then nudge these ones down. And let's grab these and scale them down like so. Okay, so what we're going to do here, what we're going to do here is we're going to create, I think we do already have an empty, which we're going to use for what I'm about to do. There it is. Okay, let's move this empty, which is our Ford Mustang empty, into, has to be shown to move it. Okay, let's move this empty into the scene, and actually we're going to rename that just for now. scalar. And you'll see in a second why we're calling it a scalar. So if we isolate, not isolate, so select that, select everything, parent it to that. So in this situation here, let's isolate those. What I want to do is I want to build this curve here, but I want it to be nice and relatively straight without any zigzags or S's or any funnies. So what I can do here is if I select this, these are now parented to that. So if I select this and I go to scale, I can scale down and I can adjust these lines. And as you can see here, it's much more obvious when you do this scaling. So if I turn this back to 1, it's, well, I mean, you can still see it, but hold on. So this scale here is 1.031, which we don't really want. So let's undo all that. Select all, clear parent. So this, was this? Okay, so these should all be 1. Make sure that they're all 1. Okay, good. Okay, so again, select all, parent to that. Isolate this. Yeah, as I was saying. So you can kind of, well, you can tell that this is dropping here and then raising a little bit and then dropping again. But as I said, if you select this, and actually just made that a little bit smaller because it's massive. Give that 100. All right, select this, scale this down to an amount, and now if I select this, you can see that this line is very funky. I wonder if we can make it a bit less as well, or lighter rather. Let's just work with this for now. So what we can do, we can probably isolate that as well for now as well. So isolate, and let's just move all these. And so the widest point of a car is usually, well, the widest point of a car is usually where the wheels are. So in this case, the wheels are in the middle, so the widest point of the car will be in the middle. So this point here. So what we want to do is we want to aim for the widest point being somewhere here. So we can move, let's keep nudging these until we get a nicer balance between them. Okay, so that's top view. That's pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. And again, the highest point should be around this point as well. Again, I'm applying normal car rules to this sort of comedy one wheel thing, but you get what I'm saying. It should still follow sort of basic rules. Okay. Okay, there we go. So that looks much nicer in this view. So again, what we can do is we select them all, and we can select all, relax them a little bit. Does that make any difference? Does it make it better? So yeah, relaxing is good. And then what we can do as well is we can planarize it as well. So planarizing actually changes it quite significantly. We don't really want to do that. So yeah, so when I planarize it, it actually moves the peak somewhere here. At the moment, the peak looks like it's sort of around here, but when I planarize, it moves it back here. So let's not planarize. Instead, let's undo that. Let's nudge these up a little bit so that when it does planarize, it behaves in a way more favorable for what we want. So let's move these out a little bit. All right, and let's try planarizing again. So it's doing it again. So actually what we're going to do instead then, have it your way. So now that it's done that, if we do move, what's this tool called? Shrink flatten. So what this does, this moves the CVs, sorry, the vertices along their normal. So in this case, because we've planarized them, what it will mean is that it should remain planar, which it clearly actually isn't. But anyway, it's closer to, it should be closer than just moving them in X, Y, Z. So let's just use that for now. So we're trying to get the peak to be more over here rather than sort of over here. So we want it to be a little bit flatter as it goes towards the back. So again, let's select all and play. Wow, that's even worse. That's awful. That's a big mess. Although we've just done that mess. So let's try and fix that mess. So a little bit flatter at the back. So forget about this tool for now, actually. Let's just carry on like this. And then let's try planarizing again. And hopefully this time, it will behave in a way that is more favorable to what we're looking for. Right, come on. How's that looking? Right, planarize. Right, so at least it's planar, that's good. Okay, so what we could do, it's very annoying that he's doing that. Come on. Peak at the front, straight at the back. All right, let's try again. All right, I mean, we're definitely closer. I think we just got to keep pushing these out until we get where we want to get to. All right, there we go. That's much more like it. Okay, so we've got it planar. Right, good. Okay, let's turn the rest of it on. Let's rotate the whole thing. So if we rotate it, it will remain planar. And then maybe down a little bit. So it drives down into this. And then let's go to the next row of vertices. And this one, let's have a look at it in normal view. Where are we? Scalar. Put scalar to 1. Let's delete this, delete this, delete the chairs. Or we could keep the chairs in there. I do get asked a lot, where's the chairs? There they are. There we go. See you later. Okay, right. While we're here, I'm going to treat myself to closing up some gaps here. So again, just check that this doesn't have any modifiers. If this one doesn't, which they don't. So we can join those. Let's delete those. Let's go from nudge these over, and then let's go from here to here, and then let's go from here to here. Okay, that's good. That's not bad considering how messy it is. Okay, good. And now let's just close this one up. What's going on here? Okay, so let's just move that to there for now. And then let's close this up. Very good. Okay. So let's have a look at the reference. So there's a little feature here which washes out before it gets to the back wheel arch. This little highlight carries on down here and it stops before it gets to the rear arch. So we're going to have to wash it out sort of there. So this washing out here will be essentially over here at the front, which is kind of what it's doing, but in a very messy way. So we've got a vertex there and there, which looks quite close in height. So let's select this one and this one, J, and that's it's quite good. But I think what we're going to do instead is we're going to hit the scaler, scale it down, and then just so it's a nicer transition from here to here, let's just nudge these up a little bit, nudge this one up, and then nudge these down a touch. And then select this one, J. And then let's fix these in this view. And top view as well. Nudge them out, just so we've got a nice transition from rear to front or front to back. And then, so this is going to wash out, is that right? Let's have a look at the back, the reference again. Reference, there we go. Alright, so it just goes to a triangle there, does it? Okay. Okay. So this just goes to a triangle here. Let's cut this here. Let's move that to there. Okay, so let's so actually what we can do, so there's no reason why these are going negative like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring these in a little bit further using our scalar trick. And then we're going to go, rather than these being the opposite of these, we're just going to nudge them up. So we're going to just slide them along the edge to get something. Actually, why don't we just cut them? Yeah, nice. And then slide these up. Let's have a look, top view. So they're pulling out at this point, which is fine. So as I was saying before, the widest point should be where the wheel is. Again, we could use the what's this called? The relax tool here. Shall we use it a bit more? Is that a good tool to use? I don't really have much control over it. That's why I don't really like using it, but it does a good job. So let's keep that. Let's move this one out. Move this one in a little bit. So we're going to lose the fact that that's on a plane by nudging those, so just be wary of that. And then we're going to do, what should we do with these ones? These can go down and then like diagonally like this, and hit that one. So we go like this and then hit this one. Okay, good. Right, so let's nudge these. And then let's use the old relax tool here as well. So this is quite a big change here across the center. So let's tame these a little bit, move them in like this, just so it's a nicer sort of transition going from rear to back. And in fact, if we look at this edge here compared to this edge, even though the angle is actually quite similar, very similar, but you can see it's twisting towards the back. So what we're going to do, actually it's misleading because this is going down at an angle. So let's just duplicate that and then use that as a guide, nudge that out. And then we're going to use the position of that one as our guide. So as long as these are relatively similar, we're going to have a nice transition from rear to back, or back to front, front to back, back to life. Okay, so nudge these, so we get a nice transition. There we go, and then maybe nudge this one just a touch, move those along. Okay, and let's have a little look, see how we're getting on. Change that to 1. Let's turn on our subdivision modifier, and that is starting to look okay. All right, let's have a little look at the shaded up version. Let's turn on the wheels. So if you ignore some of the highlights, which look like it's been in an accident, it's actually starting to look okay. I'm just going to open the door because it's boiling in this room. Okay, so where was I? Ah, yeah, so this washout. So reference. Ah, yeah, so this washes out here, whereas we have to wash it out there. And I think it's starting to look good. So we need to, as I said before, that washes out with a triangle. Is that right? Yeah, it's just a triangle. Not judging, I'm just saying it's washed out with a triangle. Okay, so let's move. Probably want the washout at 0, at Y0, which is there. So let's nudge, let's add a cut here. I believe this one is at Y0. Yes, it is. So let's select that one and do a knife cut and then go up. So all of these will be at Y0. I mean, it's a little bit of an overkill, but if you get used to these little things, then you're going to get much nicer models. Let's nudge those up, nudge that up, nudge that down, nudge these up. So what we're looking for here is just nice flow of vertices. So far, we have a pretty nice flow of vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got something funny going on here. What is that? What is this? What's going on? Let's see how it looks. Yeah, so something strange going on here. Something strange. What is strange is it makes no difference if I increase the subdivision modifiers on there. Subdivision levels. Why is this? I'll tell you what that is. So you can do subdivision level 1 with optimal display turned off, and it will show you the cage for what it would look like if I applied it. If I increase that by 1, it's not showing it. The reason for that is earlier on I was looking to see why it was so slow. Oh, here we go. So in the viewport, the simplifying viewport is set to 1. So no matter what you do here, it will only show you subdivision levels up to 1. Which actually, we don't really need to do that. You can just turn that off. So once it's subdivided, there is nothing wrong with these CVs, with these vertices. Sorry, I'm coming from NURBS background, hence I keep calling them CVs. Okay, so let's patch that up. We got a really funny shape wheel arch here as well. So let's do our scale. Let's use our scaler, scale it down. And again, the widest part of this should be here, but these, you shouldn't have sort of inflections like this. So let's make it so that they gradually move to the widest point, which is there. And then nudge this one in. There we go, and then we can do the same thing over here. Oh, we've got some comments in the chat. Is this model for printing or CGI? This is for CGI, really. You can probably print it because this is quite a robust model. And actually, I wouldn't mind printing it one day. But yeah, this particular one is just going to be for just for a rendering and an animation. And then someone says, "Why Blender is too hard?" Crying emoji. Do you know what? You just got to get used to it. It's actually once you get used to it, it's a lot of fun, and it's certainly a lot easier than trying to learn Alias or NURBS software. This is actually really therapeutic. Nudging these, moving them, making sure everything's nice and clean, and sort of nicely distributed. As I say, it's just practice, really. The more you practice, the more you use it, the more you get used to it, and the nicer results you get, and the faster you get. Okay. Scaler back to 1. There we go, much nicer. So we've got something funny going on here, which is that. So we'll get back to that because I think there's a little feature in here. I think it goes up. Reference. Do you know what? Let's put reference on 1 so we know it's on 1. So yeah, it's got a little surface change there, so we could add that and take it and wash it out before it gets to the back. But before we do that, let's just align these so they're all nice. So we've got quite a flat spot there between here and here, which we could probably add. We could probably add a loop cut and slide, and we can probably attach it to that. So if we go loop cut and slide there, and if we look down it, or actually before we do that, so where this is positioned is based on the loop, the edge above it and below it. So as you can see, this one is doing something a little bit funny there. So let's just undo that quickly. And then let's use our scaler little trickery, zoom it, scale it inboard. So if we're going to add let's open up another 3D viewport down here. let's look in side view here. So if we're going to add it there, let's check where these are. Which actually, they're not bad. So if we move this one out a little bit, so it's going, it's sort of, we've got a bit of an inflection there, so we can pull this one out. We can nudge that up a little bit. Pull these out. Pull these out. So it's all about nice flow, nice transition. So here you can see here we can see, if we look sort of from here, we've got a bit of a wobble there. So if we pull these out a touch and then pull these back in, and if we look in back view, always looking for flow. So we don't want any sort of nasties or any S's or stuff. Okay, so let's have another look up here. So now if we add this loop cut and slide, should be, and it is a little bit better. So yeah, as you can see, this is a little bit of a funny here as well. So what we could do there, change the shading on that. So it looks like we probably, if we look from some angles, it's kind of hidden. So if we just nudge that out a touch, there we go, just so it's a nicer transition as it comes into here. We can pull this one in a little bit, pull this one out, pull this one out, and this one. There we go, nudge those up, nudge those up, just to get a nicer flow between the front towards the back. And then finally, we can attach those, and we probably definitely want to move these out or in. Maybe we can do a little bit of both. So let's push these in and then push these in, just so we got a nicer transition going from front to back. And actually, again, if we look here, this is going quite straight, and then all of a sudden it curves round towards the back. So if we just move these a touch and then grab a little bit more and then move these, then the transition from the front, let's move these out. The transition from the front to the back is much more gradual, and you're going to get nicer highlights. So let's nudge these up. So like I said, always looking for nice flow. Looks like there's a bit of a inflection just in here. So let's have a look. Let's see what's going on here, shall we? Let's go back to our scaler, click one in there. What's going on there, eh? I wonder, we probably don't need, why was that row there? I wonder if we can get rid of that row of vertices. Yeah, I don't see why not. Unless there's a reason for them there. Let's have a look at our reference. There potentially could have been a little bit of a break there on a real car, but let's ignore that. Let's pretend there wasn't, for the sake of having simpler, what's the word? Simpler vertices. Vertices, yeah. All right, let's spread these out a little bit as well. Okay. So we do have a triangle here, and it is going into this sort of wheel arch feature here, which is not ideal. But how would we get rid of it? So what we could do, so over here, this row of vertices isn't doing much, so we could potentially get rid of it. Slide these over, and actually we've just created the problem twice, so we don't want to do that. However, it was nice to get rid of or simplify the geometry really, because that, like I said, that row there really wasn't doing anything. So what we could do instead, and again there's quite a lot of vertices along here, so what we could do, again, we can get rid of one of those. As soon as we're going down this rabbit hole, let's get rid of these. Let's get rid of those. So now we're going to spread these out more evenly across there. And then we've got 1, 2, 3. So what I've done here basically, so we've still got the same problem, but I have simplified the geometry, which is always nice. Again, the simpler the geometry, as long as you're not deleting features, the simpler the geometry, the better the highlights are going to be. So yeah, if we go to the reference file, it's not really got, oops, have we got rid of a feature there? I mean, that's the rear wheel arch, which was, okay, we could reintroduce, sorry, we could accentuate that that chamfer there by just nudging these down. And actually what's going on here is these here are giving us a chamfer which is this direction, but by the time it's up here it's in the opposite direction, which is a little bit strange. So what we need to do is probably fix that. So the way to do that is probably move these down. Down or inboard. So we can do a little bit of both. So let's move those in and down. Oops. Down. So now it's going to be concave, concave, concave from all the way from front to back, rather than being concave here, convex here. And actually I'm just noticing here as well, this line is looking a little bit funny too. So, and this distribution of these vertices could be improved. Okay, so how are we looking? Yeah, that's better. There you go. So you can see it's concave all the way from front to back. Right, this triangle here is a little bit annoying, so let's see if we can get rid of it. So, how do we get rid of this triangle? We could add a loop cut here. But we don't want to do that. We could nudge these along and then nudge them back. And there we've got rid of the triangle. We've got simpler geometry and we've not affected the design which is good. Right, so, and then do we like this funny looking square here? I think as long as it's not affecting the highlights, I think we can forgive it. You can stay there. That's okay, we don't mind. As long as you don't get bullied by all the other squares around you, because you are quite an odd one out. So these are all going that direction. These are going like that, and all of a sudden you're doing this. So just, you know, just be careful, okay? It's tough out there. Okay, good. Right, so I'm happy with that. Are these wheel arches meant to be perfectly round, or are they biased? Yes, they're definitely biased. Okay, so we're going to leave the wheel arches as they are. And let's introduce the little flat, which was there, a very tiny flat going inboard. So let's select these, offset a tiny amount in the opposite direction. Oops. Select 0.01, even more so. Let's go 0.005. Let's go 0.002. Any more? Okay, let's stick with that. And now let's put some faces across those. And then let's add an edge there. Nice, 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 nice. So let's see, how is that looking? Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. So that washes out there. Not bad. I don't know. It looks a little bit flat there though, I think. So what we're going to do, or does it? I think we can add a little bit of curvature along there. So let's go to our scaler, scale in a little bit, and then actually let's pull these out a little bit as well, just to round that off. Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Right, and then this one, yeah, as you can see here, especially now that I've done that, it's almost concave in that direction. So what we're going to do, we're going to pull these out, and these. See how they look in side view. And let's pull these up a touch, because again, it goes from thin to thick to thin, which we do not want. That is a sin in the design world, to go from thin to thin, excuse me, to thick to thin, or vice versa, is not good. Anyway, right. How is this looking? So do we have a nice round surface going into here, which I think we do. All right, let's have a look at this. Let's turn off the scaler. Yeah, that looks much better, doesn't it? Much, much better. So this corner here is much sharper as well. So we need to add this feature here and then make this sharper. So the sharpness, we can add that afterwards. Let's make sure we're happy with this line first. So let's move that out of the way for a sec. So this edge is quite nice. I think this was the edge that we planarized as well. Let's just check. Planarize or flatten, best fit. What we could do actually as well, we could probably spread these out evenly as well, because it doesn't really make any difference, but it will make the distribution nicer. So hopefully the highlights will be better as well. So let's have a look. Let's have a look in side view. Let's let's scale it in. Let's have a little look here. So you got a little bit of a flat spot just there. So it's much more easy to notice that when you squish it. So let's nudge these up, up, up. Okay, thank you. I think my sausage dog agrees. Good. Okay, and then let's select them again. Distribute and flatten. So I'm doing undo, redo to see what difference it's made. So undo, redo. So it's minimal, but it planarizes it, which is very good. So if we look in a view, it will be planar. There we go. Perfect. Very good. Very, very good. Okay, so now let's let's add our little feature. So if we go scale 1, so let's have a look at this feature here. So we've got, so it dips down and then back up again. Where's our edge? The edge is there. I wonder if we want to exaggerate it a bit. Do we want to exaggerate it a bit? Okay, wow, okay. So I think maybe we do want to exaggerate a bit. Although if we do, it's going to take the shine off this one. Let's leave it so that the center line looks beefier, for lack of a better description. Okay, so let's add a row of vertices here. Let's line them up nicely with what's already there. And so this one, so actually we can merge these with these, and let's scale it from front to back so that the front one, so that one is going to be merged with that one. So if I rotate, scale a touch, top view, rotate, and it should snap at some point when it gets close enough, if you turn snapping on. So zoom right in, rotate, there we go, it snapped. Good. So what we want to do as well, so at the moment, the little dipping in, let's get rid of that. The dipping in, no, sorry. First of all, we want to line this up so it's a nice gradual curve. So at the moment it's going brrr and then round again. So if we go to our scaler, we scale inboard, zoom in. Yeah, as you can see, it's going brrr, which we do not want. We don't want any burps. So if we zoom in, and then actually what we can do is we can just do a straight line from there to there. And then there we go. So we know that the Z of this is where we want it, and the Z of this last one is where we want it. So if we just isolate those, we zoom in, let's go from, let's just keep nudging these down so that there's a nice, consistent, constant, gradual transition from front to back. Something like this. And again, this is something that we could probably planarize as well. This one is not so necessary because you won't really see this, but it's good practice to do these things. So if this was an edge, it would be it would be very important to make sure it's planarized so you've got a nice straight line. Okay, so top view, nice line, side view, nice line. Looks like it's a little bit high there. Ah, that's because I've not done this corner. So if we do, let's have a look at this. So yeah, here we go. Here's a prime example of why you do want a planarized line. So if we turn off the little scalar trick, if we turn, so this corner here should be on a straight line, because otherwise you're going to get some funnies like this, and you definitely don't want any funnies. So we're gonna, and on the back there as well, although the back one is just a corner, isn't it? Okay, so that's fine, but we do need to fix that front so it's not doing that, because that is not very nice. So the way to fix that is select them all, planarize, and now as you can see, if I do before and after, so undo, so you've got a funny S there, and then after you've got a nice straight sharp line, super sharp line, and you just got to make sure that it looks good in all angles. So it could probably do with a little nudge down like so, and then a little rotation like this, and because I'm rotating the whole line, it will remain planar like this. That's good. Probably want to move this out a little bit as well now, and maybe this one. Okay, so we are still going to sharpen that corner as well, so that's fine. And let's move these out, and then let's have a look at our reference. So you've got something like this going on, do we? Okay, that's fine. Okay, so let's add another loop cut here. Another loop cut there. Okay, let's move these, slide these along. Whoops, what have I done there? Okay, slide these along. And then we do have quite a nasty sort of corner here. So what we're going to do here is let's add a loop cut there. And let's join that here. Oops. And now what we can do is sharpen this corner. Let's just double check what they've done here. Okay, I thought so. Okay, so nice sharp line there. Let's drag that down there. And towards the back, it probably splays out. So what we're going to do here is cut it here. And cut it. Oops, actually, what's going on here on this one? All right, so we need to match these two edges. So if we duplicate that one, hide that, and then isolate these two, what we can do is we can slide these down. Let's cut this here. Oops. And then we can slide. Actually, first of all, let's move these down a bit. And then let's slide those down. So we don't want to end or actually we could do, so we can have a little, we can create a little square like this here. That would actually look a bit odd. So we can do this instead. Right, so this is what we're trying to match. Let's merge that to that, merge that to that. Let's cut from there to there. So, right, where's that corner? Right, so we're quite far off that corner there at the moment. So let's move these up and then these down. So if you look at this highlight here, it's getting quite close to the black line, which is what we're trying to aim for. This one here, what's that from? That's from there, and it's attached. So let's get rid of that edge. And then let's attach that to that. Let's nudge that out there. So gradually towards the back. So we've got a nice sharp line, sharp line, sharp line, sharp line. And then towards the back, it does need to splay out so that it matches this. Obviously at the moment it's doing it over this tiny little distance here, which is not very nice. So what we could do, so we're happy with this, with the corner, but we're not happy with how abrupt it is. So what we could do here is we could attach those to there, and then it's going to be a much more gradual transition from here to here. So let's nudge these down a touch. Nudge them down, that's it, and then nudge these out a little bit. And then we can, let's move these out a little bit as well so they match that back bit better. There we go. Okay, and then let's select this one and this one, J to join. Turn that off, and then let's select these three, align them, and then pull them back. And then now hopefully this transition is nicer. It's still not ideal because what this is now doing, actually, they're sort of going in opposite directions. Although let's have a look at the real, actually that's what this is doing anyway. All right, so, okay, well that's fine. It's no worse than the real thing. So this, so what I'm doing here, so I've basically, on the front, it's this edge, which is much sharper than the back one. So there's a bit of a discrepancy here. However, I mean, I could push it forward a little bit so that it's sharper, so it gets a bigger, sort of further forward. However, I quite like it, so I'm going to leave it. Let's have a little look shaded up, shall we? Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, because I know it's there. I know it's there, but anyway, I don't think it's something that sort of stands out. I think what stands out more is the fact that there's no middle bit in this car. Right, okay, let's move on. So, let's finish this bonnet, and then, is that right? Now let's finish this side bit here. Let's close this off. Let's align this here, and then do the bonnet. Okay, so let's move these down. And top view. 2, 3, 4. Let's nudge these, nudge them. 1, 2, 3, 4. We could probably okay, so we need to add a cut here. Nudge this one back. Just basically aligning these so that they line up, the panels align with each other. Okay, how's that looking? So we've got a massive rounding here, and that is because this is rounded because there's no vertices anywhere here. So this is basically going from here to here to here, and it's just doing one big rounded piece. So what we're going to do here, is this. Oops. So that makes it sharper. And then let's move them down a little bit. And then once we're happy with this front, we can add a loop cut here, and that will give us a nice sharp corner here. Let's have a look at the back as well. So we got to fill that hole in. So there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. What's going on here? Let's get rid of this. Come on. Select all. Recalculate normals. I've got something funny here. What is going on here? Okay, and then okay, we could probably nudge these up, put face there, and then this one potentially is not doing anything, so we can get rid of that and then fill that hole and then see how that's looking. And that is looking nice. So now all we've got left is the bonnet, or the hood if you're that way inclined. Or actually, and these as well. These could do with matching the new bonnet, or sorry, or the tailgate. So what we're going to do here. So let's select this edge here, duplicate it. Let's select it. Let's offset it by around 3 millimeters. Is that right? 3 millimeters? Yeah, about 3 millimeters. So that's your average gap in a moving part on a car. So the gaps on doors and bonnets and stuff is usually going to be around 3 millimeters ish. Okay, so that has offset it down there. So let's have a look at the original. Okay, so there wasn't really much of a gap on the original, the reference. So let's keep it, well, it doesn't really matter. As long as it's a constant gap, it doesn't matter. So let's just use that that edge that we have there. So let's nudge all these, move these up, and then let's get rid of the ones that aren't really doing anything. So that one's not doing anything, that one's not doing anything. These are used to go around the corner. I wonder if we want to make that wider as well, that thing. Yeah, wider is always better. Means it's got more muscles. It's got a much bigger engine, that's what it is. Okay, let's go. Okay, I could probably go up. Is that doing anything? So it goes up like this. Move this one along. Move this one along as well. Move this one up. Move this one up. There we go. Nice. Let's attach that to that. And again, what we're going to do is, for now, temporarily just put these into a, oops, just into a corner. Sorry, yeah, a corner, triangle. So that what we can do is we can get the volume shape how we want it to look. So let's turn the rest of the car on. Look how puny that looks. Yeah, that is what we're talking about. So this is obviously a huge engine. It's got a V8, well the original's probably got a V8. So this is a V16. There's a V16 engine. In fact, let's make it even wider. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it should look. Yeah. Okay, so where do we want to wash that out? Oh, it wants to be taller as well, really, doesn't it? If it's going to go out, it should go up. There's definitely more power there. Much more power. So I'm going to slide these so that they're not moving too far away from the surface, because then you're going to start to get oops, what's happened there? So that's a bit pointy there. Let's see, shall we? Let's add another loop cut. Hold on. So this feature here, this sort of kind of swelling up, this is called a volcano. So if we look at the original, actually, I thought, oops, so this is before, and this is after. Actually, this is fine. I thought there would have been some surfacing issues. We got a triangle here, which we could try and get rid of. We could try and get rid of that triangle by, actually, well, we'll certainly be able to get rid of this one. I've just noticed this one here as well. But this one, let's have a look. If we move that there, and turn on subdivision modification, it's quite round, and actually in terms of design I don't mind it. The only thing I would suggest is if that additional CV was here, or vertex was there, then it would be adding a little bit of curvature to here, but it was actually off this edge, so it wasn't really offering anything to us. So do we keep it, or do we add? Yeah, no, that looks good. Let's keep it. We're going to keep it. We've decided we're going to keep it. So let's move this out of the way. So I think we probably want to add an edge here, actually, because this looks a bit, although the chrome underneath it hasn't peeled away. Getting rid of this edge here hasn't made this any flatter compared to that, which I thought it would do. So we don't need to do anything really there, do we? No, we do not. what we could do though is we could add, no, let's leave it. That's good. No, that's good. That's good. That is good. Right. What are we saying about the heights? So what we could do is, so we need these to give us the curvature along here. So they've got to be where they are. But in side view, we could do with something being here. So we could probably nudge this up a little bit. We can nudge this one up a little bit. And now actually if we do our little scalar trick, yeah, as you can see it's looking a little bit funny. So you got a flat here, concave almost. We got a little bulgy bit there, and there's something a little bit suspicious here. So what we're going to do is we're going to nudge these ones. The other thing as well is, oh, what's going on here? So this is not good. So these should not be doing this. If anything, this should be in line with that. So let's move those up, and then move those up. So at the moment, what they're doing is they're going straight across Y0, which is what you want. Because otherwise, if you do this, you're going to get sort of funny inflections. So that's good. And then from side view, it's relatively good. We could nudge these up a touch. These up a touch as well. We could definitely got to do something here. We can move those up and then nudge them down. There we go, just so we got a much more consistent flow. Move these down, along. Again, we're looking for a nice gradual flow of vertices. Okay, let's move these up. And then let's add, so you can add a loop cut here. We can add one here. And we can add one here. There we go. Okay, and then, so let's bring this line here so it's closer to the fender. And then should we nudge these up a touch? Yeah, definitely. Okay, so then we got a nice gradual transition from here to here. Maybe this one could come down a touch, and then this one could come up, and these could come up again. There we go, we've got a nice gradual flow from front to rear. And then we can, if we isolate this, these can continue straight from there to there. And then these ones. So what we're going to do here, let's start by just getting rid of this one and then adding a loop cut here like this. And then, so the transition of this volcano kind of stops right there, which is at 0, which is actually quite good. And actually also what I've just noticed here, if we look at the transition of these edges, so the angle of this one compared to this one, so this one is actually, as it goes up, is going, as it's moving up in Z, this is lower, so this should probably go up. So that is at least the same angle as that. So if we keep moving this up, this should go up. And this one, see, by the time we get up here, we're all good. And then again here, this is no good. So we're going to nudge this one down. So we've got a nice gradual transition from front to back. And again, we can select these, move it back or up rather. Let's extend this, move it down. So again, we've got a really nice transition from front to back. And again, this is all little things like that will affect your highlights and make it look more betterer. Right, what we've got here then? So we've got the edge, or we've got the supporting edge loop, which we need to still build. So let's move these up, and then so this is actually going to become this one. So if we just do join those, move these up a touch, get rid of this one, add that one, and then get rid of this and this, and then as I said, this edge will become this edge. So let's just do it. So let's align that to that and then see where it is there. So that's very close, so it's just attached it, which is very good. And then if we do the same thing here, we attach this point to this point, and almost very close. And actually that's close enough to just nudge that and attach it there. So we're good there, and all we need to do here is just finish off this transition here. So we've got the volcano, which is going here, but as we go back here, the volcano seems to have moved back. So what we need to do is we need to just do the same thing with these as we did with these. So let's grab this one, duplicate it, and then all we're going to do here is we're going to be fanning them out as they go up. So they won't be the same as this one, but as long as they're getting gradually, as they're rotating as they go towards the top. So the next one could be the previous one plus a little bit more. So in this case, for example, this one is there, if that makes sense. Okay. Right, good. This one could go up a touch. And then let's grab our scaler, put it back to 1. And there is our Mustang fully leaded edition. Let's turn on those wheels. Let's have a look at the world. Pro lighting, skies. Okay, don't know what that is. So what we'll do is we'll use that to light up the car, because it's actually given us quite a nice shadow down there and stuff. But the background we'll just have as one color. And let's make the ground. An ambient occlusion. Let's add a color ramp. Let's attach color to there, color to that, and then let's see what would be a nice back. I mean, this grey background is quite nice. Let's make it a little bit darker, 0.02. So then let's make the ground 0.02, so it matches the background. I was so impressed with these tyres. Well done. And then there's your finished article. this gap could do with a little bit of a fix up. Fix up. But I won't bore you with that. Instead, I think I'll finish up there. Yeah, this definitely needs a little bit of work, but it's not going to be doing anything that I haven't covered in this live stream. So please let me know what you thought. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.